Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next on our agenda is roll call by Secretary Thomas.
Good morning.
You do your thing.
Is that me?
Okay.
Teresa Chamberlain Sprague. Kurt Connick. Yep, 6.
Lisa Baggett.
Here.
Roxanne Rimmel.
Here.
Kathleen Dowland.
Here.
Lynn Lazinski.
Here.
Duhoff.
No.
Okay. And Evelyn Thomas. Okay.
Thank you. Can you, let's see, read the video disclaimer and
This general session is being filmed and posted on the member portal of the First Service Connect website. If you speak during homeowner comments, your image and comments will be included in the filming. Private audio or video recordings are prohibited. Once again, please silence your cell phones. Executive session announcement, an acknowledgement, I'm sorry. An executive session meeting was held on March 25, 2024, where the Board of Directors discussed some or all of the items related to the following. 1, litigation or potential litigation. 2, matters relating to the formation of contracts with third parties. 3, member discipline. 4, member delinquency, including payment plan requests. And finally, personal matters and or approval of executive session minutes.
okay, thank you. Now we're going to be looking at our minutes from last month's general session, and there are a couple of changes that I noted on page 9. If you could turn to that. Okay. President Reiser made a motion, seconded by Peter. It starts with motion as per OCA violations policy. It was in regard to the rentals. Do you all see that? Okay. The very last, the motion read, management to issue second courtesy letter for those homes where no form has been submitted 15 days after the initial letter. If no form has been submitted after 30 days from issuance of second letter, the owner, and the rest of the sentence is missing. It should say, the owner is called to a hearing. Okay, down at C, the motion is there, and Peter and I seconded it, but it doesn't say motion. There's a big paragraph right under C, to adopt the proposed changes to committee basics. There's a big paragraph. When I looked through it, I wasn't sure if it was the motion or part of the motion. And in researching it, that whole paragraph is the motion. So in the future, if you could write down that it's the motion, that would be helpful, not so confusing. On page 10, same thing there at E. Under neighborhood awareness form, the motion was to approve the revised neighborhood awareness form, and so it should say motion. So it's very clear that it's not just a discussion. And then at F, under the Vista Bella mixed use, that was also the motion to approve for the association to take position. So again, that should say motion. And if you can make those corrections, then that was all I saw. We'll go around, and if anybody else has anything to add, I'll start with Kathleen. Was there anything you wanted to?
I wasn't at this meeting.
Okay. Lynn, did you notice anything else?
No, you got cut all the way through.
Okay. I'll just ask you anyway, Teresa. I know you weren't there. If there was anything that was unclear or that you noticed in the minutes.
No, I did not.
Okay. Kurt?
No, I didn't.
Okay. How about you, Lisa? Good. How about you, Evelyn? Okay, good. Then I make a motion to accept these and approve these minutes from last month. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, so we have Lynn, me, Kurt, Lisa, Evelyn. And anybody opposed? How about abstaining? So we have 2 abstaining, Kathleen and Teresa. And I'm sure they're probably abstaining because they weren't here. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. All right. We'll go into the reports section. That's me, President's report. Well, as this is my first meeting, there isn't too much for me to report, but I did jot something down. I just want to say good morning. If you don't know me, I'm Roxanne Remmel, your new Board of Directors President. I'd like to thank the homeowners for the trust you've placed in us, your new board members. I think you've elected a group of very competent, diverse, intelligent people, and we will be doing our best to ensure we stay on budget financially, keep Oceana a safe place to live, and one we are proud to call our home. This board went right to work with an executive meeting this past Monday, and yesterday we had meetings with our corporate attorney, Brad Schuber, and our insurance agent, Patrick Prendeville. We as a board are not only looking out for the interests of the homeowners of 932 homes, but we do it always cognitive of the laws that govern us, and maintaining safety is a very high priority. In the coming weeks, we will be setting our strategic plan for what we hope to accomplish in the next 12 months. In order to keep communication open, we will continue with the Board Member of the Month, the Fireside Chats, and News You Can Use in the Hilltop Highlights, as was implemented by our previous board. And perhaps we'll come up with some other ways with this board to even add to that communication. I want to just thank you for joining us today, either in person or by Zoom. And let's see, do we have a report by the Secretary? Okay, that's on page 13.
Sorry. A little over 2 weeks ago, residents received the first of 2 ballots for the proposed amendments to the 1997 bylaws. This election will take place next month at the April 24th OCA Board of Directors meeting. Members received 2 ballots because the quorum requirement is different for each. The ballots and the envelopes are color-coded. The first one is yellow. The first one is a yellow ballot to be placed in a yellow envelope that was provided, then mailed in the white mailing postal envelope that was included. The second one is a blue ballot to be placed in a blue envelope that was provided, then to be sent by mail in a white postal envelope that was included. Included is a summary explanation of each ballot vote and the actual bylaw verbiage changes. Please do not place both ballots in the same envelope. This will cancel your vote. Please make sure to send back each ballot separately due to the quorum requirement differences. If you have any questions, please contact the office.
You can also bring that ballot to next month's general open meeting. As long as it's received by 9:30 when the meeting starts, it will be counted. Okay, Treasury Report on page 15.
It's pretty basic Treasurer's Report this month, as it's the beginning of the fiscal year, so we don't have any crisis yet that we have to deal with. We have had some things come up, like the insurance coming in higher than we had planned, but it was offset in another area, so we're on top of things. After first 2 months, we're on budget with $47,000 year-to-date net operating income. Don't get too excited. That's planned for expenses in another month, because expenses don't always roll the same way as our budgets do. The reserve fund has a balance of $1.3 million, which will cover the expenses budgeted for this year. And once again, activities continues to be right on dollar. I'm projecting at this point, we're only 2 months in, but if we can keep up at this pace and if we all stay calmly on top of the expenses and balanced when we need to find money, this should be a good year. A lot of time went into doing the budget, so it should. The goal is to have is zero. We don't want to have extra money, but we don't want to go into the hole either. And if we do have extra money, it would need to be because of a specific uncontrolled reason that we didn't know about. Currently, moving ahead, we are following our reports, taking into account the adjustments that are going to be made to last year that will impact January of this year. There were $85,000 of December bills paid in January. The CPA will make that adjustment, but for now, as we move forward, we take that into account as we're moving along. We have also, since the first of the year, we have collected $272,310 on the special assessment, and we have spent, well, including March, $60,000, but we're looking at through February financial, we have spent $40,000 on these records because it's $20,000 a month.
Thank you, Lynn. We're going to be going into our homeowner forum. I've got a couple of things up here.
There's, and the financial reports, do you want me to do those at the same time?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, you want to do it at the same time? Okay.
Yeah, well, we did.
It was just in a different order than
Oh,
mine.
well, I'll
Go
go
ahead.
It's okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right, so next on my agenda is the homeowner forum. And I have 3 homeowners who want to speak. If there's anybody else who would like to speak, there are some little papers like this in the back of the room. Please put them on. And our Vice President, Kathleen Dowling, will be timing you for 3 minutes. So the first person I have on this list is Maggie Willis. If you'd like to come over to the table, Maggie.
Good morning. I live in Unit 8.
Maggie, can you hold it a little closer to me?
I live in Unit 8, number 112, and I put in a slip at the office, which they were very helpful, for gopher infestation in our neighborhood. And I was so surprised because landscaping came out that afternoon. They came out the next day and cleaned them. I don't know how they did that, but thank you so much. It was very unexpected, but thank you.
Thank you for speaking, and thank you to our new landscape contractor. The next to speak would be Steve Graves, please.
Good morning, Steve Graves, Unit 8, 105. I have a couple of comments. Actually, they grew with the agenda today. I have a comment about executive session. Why don't you just say we just had an executive session and leave it at that? Because if you say all or some or maybe a little bit of, it doesn't give us real information. Formally, boards have said, during the executive session, we censured X number of people, and sometimes they even read account numbers that they were working on, and sometimes they would talk about other things that they dealt with, legal issues, contracts, and specifics of those contracts were not mentioned, but it was a much more revealing information about what was going on in the executive. And I think people would appreciate having a little more definition than just, we had a meeting. The other thing I had to say was, I really appreciate Fernando's speed of getting his crew out to deal with a storm drain problem that I had. They've come out a couple times and they've solved it. I'm very pleased with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Fernando for getting to that right away. The next one on my list here is, they didn't put the name on it. So if you wanted to speak about the easement behind the church, could you please come up and give us your name and house number? It was the last one turned in. Do we have anybody here who still wants to speak? Okay. can call you up otherwise. Okay, so then we'll move on. Thank you. There were no letters sent to us at this point, so there's nothing for me to add and read. The next on our agenda is the financial report. That would be Lynn.
We have the financial reports for both January and February in our packets. There are corrections and adjustments needed to these, but they're not a result of the months that they are reporting. It's a rollover from adjustments to the prior year that will impact these, and we know specifically what those are. The unrealized interest and prior year adjustments, the invoices that need to be accrued that the CPA will do, and deposits for activities being accrued over. We know specifically what those are. Other than that, I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve or accept the January and February finances on a conditional basis, pending documentation of those corrections being pointed out and adjustments by the CPA.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Lisa seconding it. All in favor?
Any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion. Teresa?
No questions at this time.
Kurt?
I understand that we're, month by month, we're making progress on this. Is there, what is the best case scenario for us in terms of getting these reports and having them available? Are we on time?
The request of the Finance Committee is that we have them the Friday before the meeting, which is by the 15th. Can you talk to the status of where we are on getting them then? We received February's by the 15th. Okay, the last two have come by the 15th.
Okay, so we're on time?
Yes.
Oh, Kurt, I'm not sure if you have green on your speaker.
The mic's working.
Okay, you just weren't close enough. Thank
Sorry.
you. No, not a
I'll get
problem.
closer.
Thank you.
Our challenge, what we're trying to stay on top of is to get them soon enough before the board meeting, that if we find some simple fix corrections, we can have them made before they go to the board. And we were able to do that both January and February.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. On delinquency actions per California Civil Code 5705C, this item serves to document action taken by the board in executive session to involve the association's collection attorney in delinquent account proceedings. Notation of the following actions that were approved or denied.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna let her know. Thank you.
Okay, I get a pass. This is my first one. Okay.
Really, she's testing us to see if we're on top of this.
Okay, let's go back to Lynn's motion regarding financial reports. And all those in favor of the motion, please raise their hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Okay, so sorry. I'm glad my board is keeping me on task. Okay, so we want to have a notation that the following action in delinquency actions was approved in the March 25th executive session. The action was a lien on the account number 160-330-1100. And next, the management report.
Good morning, everybody. The general manager report, what we're reporting on is the new landscaper started on March 1st, 2024, and is currently addressing priority needs and working on removing landscape away from the buildings in preparation for unit number 12's painting. Many compliments, as you heard from Steve Graves this morning, on the work that is being done, and it is anticipated to, they will have a rotation schedule for the April meeting, so that residents can understand as far as where the landscaper is going to be in the future. There also was a request on the tree trimming status for an avian biologist. We are withdrawing that request because that was a previous board business. And at this time, Michael is getting acclimated with the staff, moving along nicely, and attended the orientation with the new board, and also attended the executive session on Monday. So we are moving along at a good pace. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, our facilities manager, Fernando, would give us his report.
Do you want me to read it out this time?
Do I want to read it?
No, I mean, you want me to read it out before you tell me not to read it, so. This is a new board, so I'm just trying to.
Go ahead and tell us about, the first thing was the plumbing. I think we got some bids to possibly do the clean out from a different contractor, correct?
So we're just gonna go to the next, okay.
Yeah.
So, the first one on the agenda is actually the asphalt,
Oh, is it?
on here, yes, ma'am.
Well, it's different in our packet, sorry.
Okay.
We have something different than you. I have page 37. Well, you do have on 37 about the pagoda lights that are being replaced. Okay, so somehow we have different, okay, go ahead and read from the top, please, Fernando.
Okay, so first off is my ministry work. First want to thank, for service, and then Michael, I want to welcome him to Oceana. Excited to work with him, see what we can do together. The first off is completion. Unit red lines and Unit 7 have been fixed. And then the Unit 7 also had some electrical issues with pagoda lights over there. We fixed them already and ran some new lines. The sidewalks in Unit 3 and Unit 8, house number 3's sidewalk and driveway has been fixed and repaired. It was 2.5 yards of concrete that we poured, reported into the city, so we got signed off by the city for that. Unit 2, 56 to 58 sidewalks have been repaired also. Also in Unit 2, number 26, the grate, the floor grate on the concrete has been repaired. Unit 2 slope, I'm just gonna go with the slope. It's already passed final inspection. It's completed. So now from there we move on to doing the planning and reconnecting the irrigation system and everything. And we're gonna work with Bob on that one. Let's see, Unit 9, 93's drains have been installed. Unit 12, wood replacement bids have been sent out to all the homeowners. We have also in Unit 12, we have gotten about 80 paint selection forms back. So we're still waiting on some, but at least we have 1 through 28. So there should be starting April 1st without a problem, weather permitting. Okay, we did receive bids on the plumbing cleanouts that the board has requested. I put them in the packet for you guys to see how much it would cost per line. The cheapest one is $250 per sewer line. Minimum of, I believe he said 50. 932.
Before you go on to the next one, I think that's quite a bit. Would it be possible to purchase more cameras? Part of the reason that your crew is going to take so long is because you don't have a lot of cameras, is that right?
I have one camera and one snake, and it would take one tech. I mean, we can hire another tech and buy another camera, another sewer line to have 2 people on it at the same time. We only have 4 technicians plus myself
Okay,
for this whole
so
property.
are you saying then that if we put 2 on that project, you would not be able to get your other work completed in time? You only spare one?
It will move a lot of the projects back.
Okay, okay, well,
It would be cutting it really close.
okay, it was a thought. I think we'll discuss this more in executive and figure out if we want to. I think that's way beyond what we've budgeted. Does anybody, let's see if anybody else has anything. Kathleen, do you have anything to add? Were you done with this part?
Well, that was just for the completion part.
Right. Well, okay, I thought you started in on the plumbing
No,
bids.
That's the last part of the completion that I received the bids.
Okay, I
Like
see.
you guys know that I received them.
Did anybody have any questions on what he has completed or on those bids for that clean out?
We checked, are all of these under maintenance or is one of these a reserve project that was funded?
Everything in here would be under maintenance.
Okay.
The only one that would be under reserve would be Unit 2's slope completion.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on what Fernando has completed and his bid for the cleanouts? Kurt?
Pardon. I understand that this is part of a preventative maintenance, is that right? To try to get in front of some of these plumbing issues?
So correct. So the past board president wanted to try to do this project and see if it was feasible. She wanted to see how much it actually would cost and what would be the lowest bid that we could get. The $250 per line is the lowest bid I could get.
Okay. Do all lines need to be serviced? Are there some that are?
Some are permaline, but she still wanted them canned. She still wanted to run cameras and everything.
Okay. Are there any sewer systems that we have right now that are backing up or clogging or have been an annoyance in the past?
Yes, we have had some. Some have been repaired, found an issue, repaired them, but we still go out there and try to check them,
Right.
every 2 months or so.
The repairs, are they a reline or a replace, or what are the repairs?
So we can't do relining anymore. What we do is we repair them and we replace them with ABS. The
Okay.
parts that we repair.
So you're removing the old sewer line and putting in?
We remove part of the old sewer line that's clay and we install ABS, correct?
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for clarifying.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions on that?
Is this something that, for preventive maintenance, would it be responsible for us to consider instead of doing all of them within the current budget, looking at them unit by unit? And if so, is there a particular unit that you would say you recommend we go in and check those?
No, it's been sporadic. Not every unit in every house gets them. I think there's about 32 of them that we've done last year. And we try to go check on those more often than usual. We do have some backups, but most of the time it's homeowners backups because the homeowners unfortunately have cast iron as their main line, and that's what a lot of the causes are.
Because I was just doing the math, I was doing that's $233,000 to do all of the homes. But if we broke it down, it might be, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Teresa, did you have a question?
Yes. With the cost of going with a vendor, is it more cost effective to have a maintenance person on contract to do this work? So would we spend more than the 200-something thousand? And does that include the materials to repair the lines?
That's something I would have to talk to my upper management about.
Okay. Do you have anything to add on that, Marissa?
So what the bid, as I believe, and Fernando, you can confirm, that's just to inspect all the lines, just to, and the concept and the ultimate goal would to be create a priority list. And I think that's where we're going. So then you can determine as far as which ones you're going to conquer first. But so I think and we got the bid because the question was, is it cheaper to go out to have a third party do it? We need to get the numbers together as far as labor cost and whatever to have the internal maintenance tech do it and then compare it against the $250. And remember, that's just an inspection, it's not an actual repair. But we wanted to get the bid out in front of the board because the board was curious to know how much that cost in order to do the entire community. What the next step is Fernando's going to work on, needs to develop and create what he believes without an inspection, what might be the priority lists. And actually we need to be able to provide to you, here is a list of all the lines that have been done. So this is a very strategic plan, and so because we want to prevent any kind of backups going into homeowners units, that's really what we want to do here. So I hope, did that answer your question?
Yes. answered mine. Anybody else have a question for either Fernando or Marisa? Kathleen does.
Can you hear me? Nice work. Nice start. Thank you.
And then,
I have a
so-
question.
oh, sorry.
So then you would be providing us a spreadsheet or something like that that would show us the ones that are needed, that are priority, and then we could come up with a rotation perhaps by unit so that we can continue the process of inspection.
Correct, I can do that, yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Fernando on this particular item? Okay, thank you, Fernando. Oh, we do, I'm sorry, Teresa.
The materials needed, which, is that coming out of the basic resource budget for materials? Or is that something you're going to put together about how much the materials will be needed if you have to reline?
So if it's a full replacement, then that would come out of reserves. If it's a repair, it comes out of maintenance part of operating.
Thank you, and thank you for being on top of everything.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, is there anybody else? I don't want to miss anybody. Has anything to? All right, thank you. Fernando, why don't you go ahead with your next item?
My next item is to have, get approval for a proposal for the asphalt and concrete replacement in Unit 8D Street in Part C, and also Unit 11 H Street.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Fernando on this? Teresa, and can you either hold it or it's just too far away, we can't hear you.
Okay. This is because I'm not an asphalt person. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that word. So in looking at the bids, was wondering, are they apples to apples, or is there apples to oranges because the style of work they're doing, for looking at the comparison of cost?
All the bids are apples to apples, same square footage, same depth, same everything.
And do we get, what do you call those, recommendations from people that have used the vendors to know how good their work is, or do we go on Yelp to see their stars?
All the vendors that we use, or for this asphalt, we use them for the last, at least when I've been here, 6 years. I know they done work before with the other supervisors, and they always done good work. You know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask you to explain a little bit about why this needs to be done, okay? Because we have new board members, they may not know the history of, why you're giving us these bids. Okay, thank you.
The reason Unit 8D Street and Unit 11 H Street are first, we actually been trying to get the money to do it for the last 2 years. There's a lot of slip and falls on there. There's a lot of trip hazard potentials that could occur. Also, the asphalt is already decaying and coming up. A lot of allegations, a lot of the bases already showing, so it's been overdue to get replaced. The concrete swells have too many cracks in them. They're actually when it rains and the trucks drive over them, some areas are starting to sink. It's about 8 inches thick for part of the swell, so it's not something that we can just cut out and replace it ourselves. It's just too much.
Okay, and I believe that, Lynn, you can answer this, but this was approved as part of our new budget for this year. And I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, and Lynn went and walked it with you, didn't she? Or did any of the other board members walk it with you?
I actually had a few board members. I actually had one board member here, the new board member, Mr. Kurt. He was with the facilities committee. They actually went and walked this area. They've been trying to see when it's going to get done, and hopefully this year we can get it done.
Okay, is there any other questions for Fernando on this? Okay, Lynn?
I wanted to make just note that on page 48, where the vendors are listed, there appears to be a mistype. It says that American Asphalt's bid was received May 23rd, 2022, but it actually is more current one. That's an old date. It was received March. And then I'm looking at the exclusions here. It excludes all permitting, any ADA compliance if it's specifically identified and necessary. Do we have any of that?
No, our property is ADA exempt.
Okay, now, does it have permitting that we're gonna be required to do?
That's something we were gonna talk to the city about with Bob or whoever you guys decide with, to see if we're gonna have to get permits because they're only going 2 inches.
Okay, but if there are, that would be in addition to this.
Either that or we can pull them ourselves.
Okay. Thank you.
Lynn, is these amounts here, are they all within our budgeted amount, or are they off?
I'm not sure about the second vendor, the first and the third arm.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
I
Teresa.
have a question.
Okay, I'm gonna go
Oh,
around. Teresa, do you have a question?
No, not at this
Okay,
time.
Kurt?
I'm curious if these vendors are familiar with First Service or vice versa. Are these vendors that First Service has used before?
What's other names?
American Asphalt, Eagle Paving.
Yes, Eagle Paving and American Asphalt, yes.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
American Eagle and, what was the other one?
Oh, Eagle and American.
No, Eagle, yes, and American Asphalt, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The other question I have is, knowing about pipes and everything being under the ground and under the roads, is there any areas here that would be covering up where maybe we should consider some pipe replacement or drain adding while we're at it?
No.
Are some of the areas where you say, I understand we're ADA exempt, are there some areas where maybe we would consider modifying the way that it slopes or anything, let me finish my question, anything where we might be able to add something to make it easier for our residents?
Not on these streets.
Okay, they're pretty much flat for the most part.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Kurt. And Lisa, you had a question?
Yeah, so this is actually not repair, it's replacement? I'm not sure. The reason I ask is, given that we're in this lawsuit having to do with repairs and replace, which one is it?
This would go to the land lease, part of the lawsuit.
Is it repair or replace?
So the concrete would be replaced. The asphalt is called a replacement because you're taking 2 inches off of it. It's
So-
not just a patch.
So they're both replaced?
Correct.
Okay, so are we maintaining anywhere a place where we're keeping track of what's replace and repair, and where would we find that information?
In the budget that went out for the reserve budget, we recapped how much would have been our cost and how much we would have billed to OLC. And we did that also in what we deferred to make sure, and we're only doing the ones that have to be done. And then the actual billing of the costs, Fernanda keeps track as they do it, and they coordinate that with management in order to bill OLC.
Great, thank you.
Correct. So just to verify that, every month I give a report to my manager and I tell him what exactly was a replacement and what should go to the land lease. And I tell them exactly the amount, how much was done. Since it's broken up in payments, each month where they get paid, that's the payment that goes to them. Okay?
Thank you.
Lisa, we also started last year, just to make sure we didn't have a problem, is that I tracked the reserve expenses. We have projects and we budgeted a specific amount, and as he does a certain project, he also lets me know that which invoice goes to which project, so we can track and make sure how much did that really cost, and did every single invoice that we charge match it. So we have that too.
And Lisa, I wanted to add that in Connect, we have a maintenance module. So anything that's done gets put into that module. So let's say the pool was resurfaced on this date. So it'll say the pool was resurfaced on this date, it was done by this contractor, and then the warranty information is all in there. So that's all captured in there, and it stays in there. So board members, you can go in and take a look at it, and you can see when was the last time it was done and who did it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, are there any other questions for Fernando on this? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Fernando, thank you for staying on top of this. I just want to verify what you said, that this is required and necessary because if we don't do it, it's creating a sinkhole.
It's more, in some areas, it's not really a big sinkhole, it's just dropping lower, but it is trip and slip hazard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, which we don't need. I'll ask one more time. Are there any questions from anybody else on the board? Okay.
Excuse me, I have a question. I own a house here in Oceana, and I just walked in on the meeting, but it's regarding the second time a payment that I made has
Oh,
been
I'm
lost.
sorry you missed the homeowner forum, but you can wait until after, and we'll ask one more
And
time.
that'll be all
Okay.
day, right? 'Cause I was
Yeah,
in
today.
the office.
Yes,
Not
yes.
all day.
Okay, this is
No.
really quick.
We're going to get done quick.
I need to speak with Nina, please, wherever she may be.
Okay, and we'll have time later for you to ask that question, okay? Thank you.
No, it's not okay. This is the second time my check was lost, my payment, and it's too.
Well, we're in a different subject right now. I'm sorry that was missed, but
Well, this is important.
I understand that. I do. And we will give you time to ask that important question.
At the end of the meeting.
Okay.
We circle back,
Yes,
right?
we circle back at the end of the
I need
meeting.
the manager of First Service or the vice
Yes,
president.
and they're both here.
Okay,
Okay, and they'll be able to talk to you.
all right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right. Well, I feel that this was on our reserve study by an expert, outside expert, and we're hearing from Fernando that this could be a tripping hazard. It sounds very dangerous. We've had 2 board members that are sitting on the board look at it with him. And so I would like to make a motion to call for a vote on this. And as seen as there's 2 that are very close in price, American and Eagle, both of which First Service has worked with. And Fernando's recommendation was American Asphalt. It's just slightly different in price. I'm going to start with that. I'd like to make a motion to hire American Asphalt to do this repair of D Street and the part of C and the part of H. I'll make a motion. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, we've discussed it. And let's go for a vote.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
After you make the motion,
Okay.
we need to discuss.
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Are you
ahead,
asking
Kathy.
me to go next?
Yeah, you can go.
Round robin?
Yes.
Round robin, okay. Being a new board member, I'm not up to date on this project. It's a lot of money. I know our roads need to be redone. This is an excellent start. Because of the lack of knowledge and previous paperwork, backup, whatever else, studies you had prior to getting these bids, I have no knowledge of them. So I'm going to move that we table this. We have a strategic planning meeting coming up, and I think this is a good thing to have on that planning meeting so that we can look at our overall budget. I know we have the money for some of this, but I have a fiduciary duty, and I'm not willing to make a rash decision because somebody said from another board, let's get her done. So I know we have to do it, and we will, but I'm just not ready to give an okay on
Yeah.
it. So I move that we table this.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody, do we need to take a vote on that, Marisa? Do we need a
Your
second?
motion is out there first.
Pardon?
Your
so we-
motion is out there first.
Okay, so we deal with mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you, I'm going to ask for the vote on that, and then we'll put a motion with
Is
Kathleen.
there any other discussion on yours?
Is there? We've kind of talked about it, but is there any other discussion on my motion to go ahead with American?
Well, I was going to suggest the same thing. I don't know that we're prepared with the short period of time that we've had between being told here's the board of directors' responsibilities to making a $200,000 decision. I agree with Kathleen. I think we should table this for another
Okay,
time.
and so the first thing we're going to do is just make a motion, or we'll take a vote on my motion, and you certainly can
Carry on.
turn it down, and then we'll go to the next motion. Okay, so I'm going to just take a vote. Who is in favor of going with American Asphalt at this time? Please raise your hand. Okay, 2. Okay, that would be Teresa and myself. And who is against that motion? 1. Kathleen. 2. Kurt.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. And are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining, I understand both
Okay.
sides.
I do too.
Having done the budget, I have the information that they want, and if I were in their shoes, I would also want it.
So we have two who are against the motion, that would be Kathleen and Kurt, right? Okay, and then we have abstaining, we have Lynn, and we have Lisa. Okay, and that's fine, I understand where you're all coming from. So then let's make a motion to, do you want to make a motion to table it?
Yes, I make a motion to table this until strategic planning meeting, which is next month. And then we hope we can get more information by then from you.
Okay, and do we have a second on that?
Second.
And who seconded it?
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa did, okay. Is there more discussion on this motion?
I'd like to suggest that if we're discussing this as strategic plan, that we need to take all of the projects that are currently in the reserve budget and make sure that the new board is aware of all of those and why, so that it doesn't happen, each time. And it might be that we have Fernando come and explain some of those, whether it's at strategic planning or another time. Because in my mind, I'm just going through where he showed me, and it made a difference to me. So let's do it all at one time.
Okay. Do you want to amend your motion, Lisa, to include anything that is currently, okay.
If everybody thinks that's a good idea, I'll put the time in and get the paperwork together.
Okay, so we have a first from Kathleen and a second from Lisa on tabling this motion and talking more about it in executive and our strategic planning meeting. All those in favor?
Of tabling.
Of tabling. Okay, it looks like it's unanimous? Okay. All right, thank you. Did you get the motion okay, Nina?
Evelyn, the first one, Roxanne's first motion. How did you vote?
Okay.
My motion was to hire American Asphalt to do the
Abstain,
replacement.
because I think they have some valid points that we should discuss it in strategic planning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you got that one? And did you get the second one, to table it? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, going back to Fernando, could you talk about the next item on your list?
Next item is to hire a geotech to inspect Unit 1233, 992, and 235 drains. These are drains and sub pumps we installed in-house. The homeowners feel that they need a different report. I talked to my management. They feel the best way to go is to hire a geotech to come out, do an analysis, and get a report. I reached out to Scott Burns. He is no longer doing HOA. We used him a lot in the past. So then I reached out to Coffee and to Private Eye, and they gave me their pricing.
Okay. I don't see it myself. Does anybody have the page for that? They're a little out of order here.
43, sorry. Page 43 in my packet. It's for Coffee Engineering.
Okay.
And
I do need to let everybody know that I believe that we need to withdraw Coffee as a projected engineering firm because we are using them as an expert witness in litigation, and that could be considered a conflict of interest. So that leaves us with just the one then.
Private Eye.
Private Eye?
Correct.
What page is that on?
Private Eye is in page. 46, I believe.
They're kind of on an email, I think.
Yeah, it's an email. That's the way they did
And how many areas are there then?
it. 3
3, so he's charging $3,750.
total.
I have a question for Marissa. In the past, when we have had instances where a homeowner has questioned something, and it has been the homeowner's expense if they wanted to have a second opinion on our work. Why would this not be that?
No, this would be that. And so the board needs to talk about, you probably want to table this till the strategic planning conversation. Because what this situation arose from is that if a homeowner disagrees with what the facilities team and what Fernando is recommending, and they just believe that there should be something else, the association needs to get a licensed general contractor's input as to what really needs to happen here. And homeowners deserve that right to ask that question. And one of the policies that we'll be presenting to the board is to allow homeowners to ask that. Have a general contractor on call for a specific amount of money that can come out and inspect an area if a homeowner, disagrees with what the findings of the facilities team has provided. If that, and typically those deposits, we do this in other associations, those deposits run from $250 to $300, and that's just for the inspection. And if the inspection comes back and it's in the same recommendation as what the facilities managers, then that money goes towards paying that GC for that inspection cost. If it comes back that the GC says, you know what, facilities manager, that no, there's contrary as far as what the repair is, then the association will pick up that cost and complete those costs.
You're saying that that's something that we're going to be discussing in the future?
Yeah, and for your strategic planning, so what I recommend is you table this request right now, and then we can get into the details, the strategic planning as far as how to handle this moving forward. Because you've got like several bids here, and it's like, well, which one and why, and what's really the history behind why did we get these bids?
I'm fine with that. I want to clarify that strategic planning is for identifying the plan, not identifying all the solutions. So how we're going to handle things like this might be an item on the strategic plan, but we're not going to come away from that day of planning with answers to all of this, because that's way too much work. Am I correct?
Well, you can come away with a path as far as what to do in these scenarios, because this won't be the last time that this situation is going to come up for the board.
Well, we could table it to the executive meeting in April and discuss this policy.
Sure, okay. I just don't want people who are listening or watching to think that every time we say, well, we'll bring it up to strategic planning, that we're going to come back with all these answers. Because I've had 3 or 4 things that I've heard so far that kind of grouped together under one heading that 2 or 3 board members would need at least a month to work on.
Right, so, and policies should be made, in the executive or the general meeting. So I would make a motion to table this. Right now, we only have one vendor that we could even consider, and we need to discuss this proposal that management is suggesting. So I'm going to make a motion to table this until our executive meeting in April.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion on this?
Go ahead.
No, I thought we were voting. I'm ahead of the game.
I'll be further discussion. These are some of the areas that were identified by the facilities committee and have been in ongoing repair. And so this is a situation that will, as Marissa points out, this is a situation that's going to become more frequent, especially as things are eroding and needing attention. So focusing on real problem areas, sometimes it's a problem area, sometimes it's a communication issue with really what the problem is and what the solution is. And Fernando's team has done a great job of being able to go out there and evaluate and re-repair. So in some cases, I think in situations like this, if the homeowner doesn't agree or is not in alignment with what the maintenance team has recommended, that they at their own expense could go out and perform this service. So I want to be careful that we don't go down a path that we end up having to stay on. So I think we go at this very carefully in terms of writing the process and procedures in order to even get to the point of a third party, and I don't think it should come out of our pocket.
Okay, are there any other
Yes, I have a
discussion?
question.
Yes, go ahead, Teresa.
Kurt's good at jumping in there. Okay, So
That's a compliment, don't worry.
yeah. So the committee that you were on that walked it with Fernando, I want to recognize that that committee has done a lot of work. So my question is, we're going to have rain coming up, and we meet in about 3 weeks, and everything we need to know and do is important. My question is there any one of those 3 projects that when it rains, it's going to make it worse where it's at? Can we wait 3 weeks?
All the drains in those areas are working. We have one sub pump, which every Friday before we know it's gonna rain, a day before we know it's gonna rain, we try to go check it. And from there we move on. So yeah, we check the sub pump, make sure it's working, we leave it alone. And then, you know, we go back after it rains, make sure there's no debris in the area.
Thank you, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay, Lisa, do you have any questions?
Questions?
How about you, Evelyn?
No questions.
And Kathleen? Ready?
No, I just wanted to add on what Kurt said. I agree. And I think we don't want to get into the habit of double checking our own work all of the time. I think that it might behoove us to work with Fernando and the finance committee, or the facilities committee, if there are projects that are coming up. And we think it would be in everyone's best interest to get someone, a licensed contractor or someone in a particular area to come in and take a look and give us advice, that we do that before instead of after the fact. Just my thought.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, then we will take the vote. The motion was to table the soil drainage project until we have a chance to talk more about it in executive committee. It was first and seconded, first by me and Kathleen second. So let's take the vote. Everybody in favor, please raise your hand. Oh, that looks like it is unanimous. Okay, are there still some things here for you, Fernando, or are you at the end of your list?
I'm at the end of my list, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for what you do and what you bring to us, and we appreciate it a lot. We're just also really careful to be looking out for our budget and homeowners' money, and also looking at the repercussions of not doing it right away, so thank you. Okay, next on the list is the rental policy. That was an unfinished business. Lisa, did you have something you wanted to discuss on that?
I have no idea what this is. Lisa, we'll be working with you. This is the rental, what we did initially. We did a whole survey and a study on what homeowners who have rentals here who have not turned in their paperwork as far as a lease. And so this is a big project that Sandy Reiser had started. But as a board liaison, I guess, representative, you know, we'll be providing you information on this.
I'm
happy to do it. Okay.
I was just going to ask you, are you okay with helping out with that at this point?
That's great, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Okay. Let's see, under new business, I don't think there is anything. So we go into our committee updates with our minutes from our committees. Everybody's had a chance to look through that. While we're on that, I would like to make a motion. It's not in here, but it's for the Community Resource Center, CRC. And they have put together an approval for Michael Jones as a new volunteer for CRC. And I have the emails from them, which I can provide you, and the paperwork, I believe, was turned into the office. It's not in the packet right now, but they are anxious to have a spot filled in their CRC room. So I'm going to make a motion to approve Michael Jones right now as a volunteer for CRC. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, Then let's call for the vote. Those in favor, raise their hand. And that is unanimous. And while I'm at it, I'll just keep talking. I'd also like to make a motion to appoint Chris McLaughlin as temporary chair to the CRC. The chairman was Teresa, and she's on the board now. So Chris is taking this on as a temporary position. So making a motion to appoint Chris McLaughlin as temporary chair to the CRC. Any second on that?
Second.
Was that you, Evelyn?
Teresa.
Teresa.
Was it Teresa? Who was it?
I'll give it to her.
It was
Teresa.
Lisa, I'm sorry.
Oh, Lisa. Okay. All right. Is there any discussion? Okay. Then let's call for the vote. Everybody in favor of that motion? Oh, you did.
No, it's fine. I forgot to make the same request for Meg for Facilities Committee. So I'll continue as liaison,
Okay.
but she will be assuming the
Okay.
chair.
Should I just add that to this motion? Is
Yes.
everybody okay with that?
Pending paperwork.
Yeah. So we're making a motion to appoint Chris McLaughlin as temporary chair to CRC, and Meg, and how do you spell her last name?
McCardle.
Marble.
McMarple? McMarple.
How was it?
Marble.
Marble.
Like
Just-
Miss Marble.
Just
M-A-R.
Marple, okay. Meg Marple, is she going to be temporary chair, or is she going to be
Temporary.
Okay, let's
For
call-
2 years, I guess.
temporary chair to the Facilities Committee? Okay, is everybody okay with that amendment?
Yes.
My motion, okay. And we have a first, and Lisa seconding it, and any other discussion? Okay, then call for the vote, everybody in favor? And that is unanimous. Okay, well, that gets us through all of our ad hocs and our minutes from our committees. Oh. Yeah, we do. Okay, do you want to make a motion, Kathleen? Okay, I'll make a motion to accept all of the minutes or summaries from our committees and ad hocs for this month. So, anybody second that?
Second.
Is that it?
Mhm.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a brief discussion. And that is that typically when I go through the packet for the board, there are some committees that have executive subcommittee, the liaisons there, and they will write a note that goes with these meetings, like, we were here, we approve of what the landscape committee or the architectural committee did. And even if they don't have to approve any projects, it's a note that says they were there and they took notice of what happened, and somehow they're not in this packet. And there's probably only 4 committees that need that, but they're not here. So that would be a recommendation, is for the management to please get those in next month, because you are getting those. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, and those of you who are liaisons to those committees that are executive subcommittees, make sure that you do as Kathleen is suggesting, so we can have
I think that that's usually done, and I'll just speak for architecture because I was one of them to architecture, and I kind of dropped the ball because Peter always did that, but Peter's not on the board, so I should have stepped up and done it. So I think the ones that aren't there are because we had a change in the board.
And the same thing with landscaping. Karen and I were the executive liaisons, and I know we did it, we signed it. Not quite sure why it didn't get submitted.
I have to give credit to Peter, and you're doing a good
Yeah.
job, so now we
So-
can step in.
We're going to do better next month. But thank you for bringing it up and reminding us, Kathleen. Okay.
I also would like to just mention that the executive summary of the minutes of the Facilities Committee and some of the other committees, I don't know if it's a good reflection on what actually is going on at the meetings, I would make a recommendation that you get the actual approved minutes from the meeting, because it goes into more detail to understand really what's going on at the meetings. In order to get those after they've been approved by the meeting, you're going to get them 30 days late unless you would include them into the packet in draft form. So which way would you like to receive them?
Well, we have accepted draft form in the past. I think, didn't CRC turn it in as draft form?
Because of when we were meeting, we
Yes.
had to submit them as draft to get it in on time.
So that would be, I mean, we've done that, and I think that's an acceptable practice.
Okay, we'll have them done every month now.
Okay.
We were told that they needed to be approved minutes in order to be approved by the board.
Anybody have any discussion on that? I know we did it in the past.
I just wanted to mention that the reason for the executive minutes on those committees, they have an executive committee because those two make decisions that the board should make, not the committee. So they have an executive committee there so that those can be approved right at the time. They don't have to go forward. So those minutes are to document that the board approved what they approved. They shouldn't go into great detail.
Yeah. My understanding is the only executive subcommittees are architecture and landscape.
Yeah.
I don't even know if finance is considered, is finance considered an executive? No. But they only have one liaison.
Yeah, those are the
Okay.
and they shouldn't be, we should all be going to the actual committee's minutes for detail. The executive ones just say, this was presented and it was approved by the committee and by us.
Okay. Are there any other questions on this? There was a homeowner, I think we're done with minutes and we're going into questions from attendees, and there was a homeowner who had a question.
She left.
She left, oh, okay. We
didn't vote on accepting the minutes from the committee.
Okay. Okay, the motion was to accept the committee minutes. I was first, Lynn seconded it. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, and it passes. 7-0. Okay, okay. Are there any other questions from any other attendees here? Look at that, we're getting done and it's not even 11 o'clock. The next board meeting will be April 24th at 9:30. And remember, if you have not brought or mailed in your ballots, your 2 separate ballots and 2 separate envelopes, you can bring them that day, but they must be here prior to 9:30 because they'll start counting at our election supervisor. Okay.
Could I just ask the board, once we adjourn, not on the record, a question while we're all on
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm sorry I wasn't quick enough.
Go ahead.
The homeowner that left and she had a question, do we have enough information that the office can handle the issue she has with her payments?
Do we?
So-
Okay. Good.
Okay, so I just wanted on record that the office will reach out to that homeowner to do that.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, management, for getting her name and everything, for her, problem that she had. Okay, are there any other questions or things to discuss? Otherwise,
I
I'm going
have
to move
one.
to adjourn.
I have one. I'm wondering about the March 22nd court date and what happened.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy. I'll address that. I wasn't actually at it, but the attorneys were there. There was a nice representation from our homeowners. I believe there were over 40 people and about 20 on Zoom. Okay. The judge wanted more time to review everything, and we're expecting to hear something back from him possibly as early as this afternoon or tomorrow. As soon as I hear, I'm going to get that out to all of the homeowners through management by email or e-blast. So you should have it the same day, everybody. Okay? Good question. Are there any other things that anybody wants to address? Otherwise, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Okay.
It is a great
First and seconded by Lynn, and let's take a vote.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it, okay. And I make a motion, and do I have everybody in favor of closing this meeting? Okay, 7-0.
I did second.